Morning, everybody. It's another candle. How are you guys doing today? It's a nice cloudy morning, so it's not so hot. It's actually a little bit muggy, but I wanted to give you guys this message because just the same as the first video I did, a message for me many times is a message for you guys as well. I also want to encourage you guys, if you like these videos, please subscribe, hit that like button. It's not that I want to be popular, but I want these videos to reach as many people as I can reach, because as I like to say a lot of times, I'm just a regular guy, and I know a lot of you are regular people. Well, all of you are regular people. I mean, we're all regular people, I should say. But we're all regular people. We all struggle with a lot of the same things. Nobody's perfect. And I would rather be able to reach somebody who is struggling than to reach out to a person who doesn't have any problems at all. If you don't have any, God bless you. You're doing a great job. So guys, this message is one that I got the other evening. Other night. It's quite interesting, actually. So, Saturday night, I had this dream. And in this dream, I was at a church. Now, this church I didn't quite recognize in any way at all. It seemed to be like, in the middle of a town, some large, tall buildings around it and stuff like that. And the building itself was tall. We were only on the bottom floor. And it was interesting. The congregation in this building was all separate. Not separated by male and female, but separated by age into 4 different parts. There was the young adults, which would include basically like 18 up to, it seemed like 30, sitting in one quarter, like where I was, me and Kayla anyways. And there was actually 2 other people that I recognized in that area. There was a youth section, which was like everywhere from like 5 or so, like, young kids, all the way up to basically to 17. And then above that it seemed like, I guess, around people around like 30, 35 maybe, on upwards to like, I think it was like maybe like 50, and then it was the elders were in the other section. Not very important, but it could have some significance. I don't know. I remember that we were listening to this preacher. He seemed like an older guy. He seemed like someone that you wouldn't exactly expect to be a preacher. And I found that quite interesting, because a lot of preachers, you'll see, you kind of expect them to be the preacher, to be the guy with the nicest outfit on, have a nice suit and tie, and hair will be all nice and kept and everything like that. And this guy wasn't exactly like that. I mean, it looked just like a regular guy. An older guy, seemed to be like he was around, I don't know, maybe like his 50s or somewhere around there. And I remember he was preaching this sermon, and his sermon was very, how would I put it? It wasn't preachy, it was teachy, if you know what I mean. It was a very well-educated sermon that wasn't just, just yelling at you the entire time. Not to say that a preacher getting loud's a bad thing. It's not. But it wasn't like that. It was like he was just wanting to teach the people that were there with him. I can appreciate that because I've always preferred teachers to preachers. You just kind of have to look into it for yourself to understand the difference there. It's hard to describe. But I remember he was walking around. So like he wasn't standing up on the pulpit. He was walking around while he was preaching around the congregation and like in the aisles in between them. And in this dream, he stopped for a moment. And he looked dead at me. And he pointed at me and said, "You're supposed to be doing something." I was just like, I don't really know what that means. You know, I was thinking, I didn't say that, but I was just thinking. You know, and like he didn't say it with like a serious face or anything. He was smiling at me, you know. He was like, you know, "Hey, you're supposed to be doing something." You know, and I was just like, okay, you know, like, and I woke up from that dream, and I didn't have the greatest of mornings on Sunday morning. I was getting fought really hard by the enemy, trying to push me to be angry, because when I get angry, I feel stupid, and then I don't want to go to church. And I haven't gone to church for a long time, but I mean, like, you know, I guess I should say I don't want to be in God's presence because I have that anger on me, and I know I do. So, you know, I woke up and I went and I sat in the living room, and I don't exactly remember what I was even trying to do. I mean, I guess I was just trying to relax or something. And my son, whenever my wife and him were about to go out the door, he turns to me and he says, "Daddy, are you coming to church today?" And I told him, I was like, "Well, no, boy, I was going to just, you know, sit here and try to relax 6-day week and all, you know." And he said, "But Daddy, I want you to come to church." And I just couldn't say no. I mean, it's my boy. If he wants me to go, you know, well, I kind of have to go. I really enjoy how God uses him a lot of times to speak to me. So I was like, all right, let me get a quick shower, find some clothes real fast. So I got a shower. Kayla helped find me some clothes, and I went to church. Now, this church that I went to was Trinity Baptist Church. It's a church I used to go to for a while whenever I was a kid. Me and my family used to attend that church, and it was great. Like, I've always had very fond memories of that church. Like, I kind of grew up there, per se. I met a lot of the friends that I had in my young life at that place. A lot of the cool things that I've experienced church-wise happened there, like Vacation Bible School was always super cool, and we're going to be taking my son to that this year. But I did like 2, I want to say 3, but I can only remember 2 of them there. And I really enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. The worship is very old school, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with old school. It's not exactly my type. You know, I enjoy I guess you could say a little more contemporary style of worship. But what was beautiful for it to me was the fact that they were teaching like a kids choir, and they were kids for the most part coming up and singing with this worship group. And I really like that. I enjoy the idea of getting kids into the idea of worshiping, because they should be. They shouldn't feel like, you know, they're not allowed to because of their age. they sing the most pure form of worship any of us could sing, because if they do know God, they probably love Him more than the rest of us do, because they haven't had the corruption that the world gives us. So, and then I call him my papaw, but he's more or less an old family friend. He's just one of my grandfathers. In my opinion, if you care about an elder enough, then you can call him your papaw or your mamaw. No problem with that. He ended up showing up. He was sitting up in the balcony area. They have a second story for people to be able to sit at. And I saw him, and I was like, oh man, that's great. I'm glad he's coming. It's the first time he's been back to church since his wife Sandra passed away from cancer. Pray for him, guys. He is still struggling. It's only been like a month and a half. But it was so great to see him there. And wouldn't you know, this preacher was very teachy. He was teaching, not preaching so much. Like, very educated as well. Like, it's one of those things where, like, you know, I felt like it was above my like mental class of teaching, and of course not to be in any way like insulting to the guy. I mean, he seems like a great guy. Also, he didn't look like a preacher that you would expect. I met him before the service and shook his hand during the fellowship, and I could not guess out of the crowd that he was the preacher. That's fantastic if you ask me. And it also aligned with that dream that I had. And what was also interesting is that in his message, he was talking about the lukewarm church, the church of Laodicea in Revelation 3, I believe it is. It was what his lesson was specifically about. And what I find just amazing about that is, while I may not necessarily consider myself to be lukewarm, I wish that I could get like a thermometer from God, and to be able to put in my mouth and have it tell me whether I'm lukewarm or I'm cold or I'm hot. Because some weeks I know for a fact I'm hot. Some weeks I know for a fact I'm cold. But the weeks whenever I feel content where I'm at is the ones that I worry about the most, because I do not want to be a lukewarm Christian. It says specifically in the Bible that God will spit you out of His mouth. I do not want to be spat out of God's mouth. First more just because, nobody wants to be spat. But also because, as the figure says, He essentially will send you out from His presence. I don't want that to happen. Guys, past week has been a very hard week for me, and I could easily say that, I probably got a little bit lukewarm. I've been trying to read my Bible. I almost said whenever I have the time, but the thing is we have to make time. And I probably haven't been praying as much as I should, especially after that recent attack that my son and I had. Well, towards the end of the message, he was saying about how they do these food drives, and not even just that. Before he got up on stage, there was the other guy who does the announcements. I don't know his name yet. He was talking about how they were digging a water line for an elderly person, I believe. And I was like, man, that's awesome. They're doing works, I've wanted to do things for so long, and I've tried to find things to do for God, but it's surprisingly difficult to find things to actually do. I know I have my messages that I do on YouTube, but while they are nice and while I feel like I can reach people a little bit better with the word, what about the works? Now I know I also talk about there, a works-based salvation is not a thing, but that is essentially talking about the fact that for salvation, works is not required for you to be saved. However, the Bible also says faith without works is dead. So, that being taken into account, it basically means that if you have faith in God, you should at some point be doing a service, be doing a work for God, for His glory, to help others. So, what this message is really about, I want to encourage you guys, as I did yesterday. I went out and I helped the food drive. I brought some of the foods that I had been storing up, and some of the Bibles that I had been storing up, and I tried to give out. And I brought them to the church because, well, they could probably get them to people better than I can. I want to encourage you guys to find some way yourselves to be able to do some kind of work for God. It doesn't have to be something crazy. It doesn't even have to be church organized. Guys, just find something to do for an elder you know. Maybe they need their yard mowed. Maybe they just need some company and they're lonely. Maybe it's not them. Maybe you know somebody who's hungry, who doesn't have a lot of food. We're going through a massive inflation right now. Maybe you know a family that doesn't make food stamps, and you do. Maybe give them some food. Just something to produce fruit. Guys, I hope this message means something to y'all. Again, I apologize for not doing a whole lot of videos. I've really been trying to keep my hands busy, I guess I should say, and to do things in Christ. And it's really hard because whenever you start doing the things that you need to do, that's whenever Satan wants to hit you the worst. Guys, I am a generally happy person, but I will say, here lately, I have been struggling with finding happiness, just being happy or being content. I constantly have feelings like I'm not doing enough. There's things that I would like to do. I want to have a farm at my house. I mean, even if it's just a small farm. But I need a truck to do that, and I just can't seem to get together enough money to be able to get a truck. That bothers me. It makes me think, okay, maybe I just don't need one. Maybe it's not in the right timing. And so I kind of struggle as to what I'm supposed to think there. I wanted to do those Saturday night worship meetings, and honestly, I might just change the date for whoever is actually coming up is available. That way they can come up and we can do it on a different day, just whenever someone actually needs it. Because I tried doing them for a while, and it's like I was telling my mom, I can do them all day, but if nobody shows up, then I might as well just spend time with my family, reading some verses and enjoying some worship. I'm not going to do a service, for just my my wife and my son being there. It's more of a, we take time together just as us as a family to worship and such like that. So don't be discouraged. It's not that I'm going to stop doing those. It's just that I'm basically going to leave the offer open if people want to come up and do it and they want to worship with us. I'm going to leave that offer open, and everybody's perfectly welcome to come if you're in the area, or even if you're not. But I think I've only had like 3 people come up in total, and I've enjoyed it. I loved it whenever others were able to come up, but maybe it's just I live a little too far out for people to be able to get out there and worship with us. But I hope you guys have a great day. It's been a 20-minute video. Good grief. I hope this message has meant something for you. I'm sure most of you probably won't end up watching the whole thing, and that's okay. Just as long as you can get the point out of the video that God needs you to get. If it's not speaking to you, that's okay. Guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope God blesses you today. I'm going to try to have a good day at work. I'll see y'all later.